Wait a tick, this isn't a Fiery Joker production, I'm doing the editing so it's starting on my channel.
Oh please, I'm the one who wrote the script, so technically this entire thing is my opinion. And I'm the one who came up with the whole thing to begin with.
But we agreed and compromised on the placement of each spot, and the script had to be approved by me before we used it.
All you did was check for completion. Half these guys you didn't even know about. And I'm the one who made the intro.
Okay, look, we can't start a topic like this with such vitriol. Truce?
Fine. Teacher, you Brit.
What?
Nothing! So, how do you want to do this intro?
What do you mean?
Well, I have a custom-made rock song for my intro, and in your intro you have a licensed symphonic metal piece. How do you want to combine this?
Rock remix of a licensed orchestra piece?
Let's do it! Bromances. Those vaguely homoerotic friendships showcase the indestructible power of camaraderie and inspire some of the creepiest fanships in the world. And we're here to count down which ones we think are the strongest. The relationships, not the fanships.
So what exactly constitutes a strong bromance? Well, it was tricky to narrow it down, but we've managed to find similar characteristics amongst each relationship. The bromance must be long-standing, they have foiled personalities yet share some interests. Mutual respect for each other's differences, develop together, they play to the other's strengths and cover the other's weaknesses, how far they would go for each other, and preferably have an element of humour.
But since these are video game bromances we are talking about here, we also need to consider how the gameplay complements the relationship, whether it be through cooperative play, one of them helps out from the sidelines, or is just there for moral support. Also, bromances are by definition between friends, so actual brothers like Mario and Luigi don't qualify, and neither do actual gay couples, whether player influenced or not. So then, my manly accented English brother, shall we get this list started?
Proceed, my figurative male sibling of American descent. One pairing you're going to see a lot of in this list is the nerd and the dirty worker. The dirty worker, typically the protagonist, is the one who goes out and actually does things. In Assassin's Creed's case, it's Ezio Auditore da Firenze and Leonardo di Piero da Vinci.
Show off. Anyways, at first Ezio was indifferent to Leo, writing him off as just a disorganized nerd. Quickly he is proven wrong from seeing just how motivated Leonardo was to change the world, something Ezio would soon identify with. After the execution of his family, the only person Ezio could turn to was the sympathetic Leonardo. So sympathetic that Leonardo was fully okay with getting savagely beaten by a guard to keep his friend safe, to which Ezio came to the rescue of his friend by killing said guard. Brutal violence can be so touching. And later, when Leonardo was forced to make weapons for the enemies of the assassins, he still tried everything he could to help Ezio by informing him of plans and designing him more stuff to kill people with. You know, for a pacifist, he seems pretty content with designing tools of murder, including concealed blades, pistols, poison, and even a FREAKING TANK! All of which Ezio is more than happy to use. Whether it's to help his friend, it's the right thing to do, or it's because he likes using this stuff is up in the air.
As the games continue, Ezio seems to gain more and more respect for Leonardo's intellect and ingenuity, and Leonardo continues to gain respect for Ezio's fortitude and skills. Ezio seems to take Leonardo's nerding in stride, opting to roll his eyes and chuckle whenever Leonardo gets a spurt of inspiration, figures something out, or is handed something that he can tinker with. It also helps their relationship a lot that Leonardo was hinted at to be homosexual.
Yeah, wait, what?
Italian Renaissance, don't question it.
Do not let a beautiful girl distract you from constructing my designs.
Have no worries. Women provide little distraction.
Wait, I don't get it.
Awkward! A lot of times in real life, meeting your best friends for the first time, maybe even your one true love, started out with you strongly disliking the other. Maybe you got into a huge argument at the start, maybe you traded blows, or maybe you just happened to kill their dad. So yeah, Ling, Tong, and Gan Ning's relationship didn't start out too great.
During the Battle of Shaku, Ling Tong and Gan Ning were on opposite sides, which was pretty ideal for the vengeance-seeking Ling Tong. But instead of able to get his revenge, Gan Ning was defeated and instead recruited into the Wu forces, much to both of their dismay. Now forced to work together on a regular basis, the two come to blows really quickly and would bicker constantly, even having contests placing their entire jobs on the line. But under the watchful eye of their mentor and father figure, Lu Mang, they were able to work together, even though they would still take every opportunity they could to let the other in on how much they hated the other.
Hey, how about a contest? Who begs the most enemies? And the loser has to leave the army.
Huh, sounds lame. But get you to shut up for a while.
This feud continued until Lu Meng died. Now that they have no one to stop them, they try and kill each other, right? Wrong. They decide to bury the hatchet and change from bitter competitors to friendly rivals.
The relationship slowly grew stronger and stronger the more times they had to save each other's asses. What also makes the relationship work is how they complement each other. Gan Ning tends to charge in recklessly while the lazy Ling Tong likes to sit back and analyze things. However, Ling Tong brims with internal conflict while Gan Ning's zest for life attitude is always there to help him cool his head. They have a really good red Oni, blue Oni thing going on.
A what now?
You really need to read more TV tropes. Basically, a red Oni character is typically hot-blooded, passionate, and carefree. A blue Oni is more cool-headed, logical, and disciplined. Due to the personality offsets these two archetypes have, they're a very good way to have diversity in your character's relationships, and as a result are popular in all forms of fiction. Example, I would be red Oni due to my fast speaking, screaming, and fire motifs, and you would be blue Oni due to your calm speech pattern and deadpan anger.
You got beat up a lot in school, didn't you?
And there it is! Alright, today's the day we settle our little score. Right here and now.
Fine by me. Just don't go crying to Mama when it's over.
Huh? You forget I kicked your butt the other day? Who was it that knocked the Go table over and ran away?
Yeah? Well, I totally trounced you the time before that.
Mine is bigger! No, mine is bigger! When you have a game called Army of Two, it's a given that the main characters would probably have a bromance. And here they are, Elliot Salem and Tyson Rios. This one is a great example of gameplay complementing the relationship. The two have bizarre and scrappy improvisations that only two friends like these who have worked together for so long could trust each other with. It's one of those weird mind meld things you see in brothers.
Despite their close working relationship, they each have their own opinion on things. Salem is brash and mostly just wants the paycheck, whereas Rios is tactical and a strong-headed man who wants to do what he thinks is best. The two have their differences, but they are still best of friends in the thick of things. Rios comes up with all the plans, and Salem executes them no matter how odd or bird-brained they seem to be. Rios tends to be the more level-headed of the pair, and it appears without Rios to keep him cool and on track, Salem may do something stupid due to his hot-blooded personality. Rios tends to be slightly protective of Salem at points in the game, like telling him to get into cover or to watch himself. This is most likely due to the fact that Rios has made certain careless mistakes that he doesn't want the more trigger-happy Salem to make, which is a well-grounded fear. Salem would likely find himself in bad situations if he wasn't warned.
Cause Salem does have that sort of reckless younger sibling syndrome. You know that brother comparison I made earlier? Well, you know it's commonly shown that little brothers get into constant financial trouble, pick up nasty habits, and the older brother has to be there to nag him about being responsible? It's a lot like that, and it even extends to missions. Despite their differences in personalities, the pair of them complement each other. Rios is the calming influence that Salem needs in battle, offering a different point of view on situations that Salem might otherwise overlook. And Salem is the only one stupidly brave and skilled enough to follow through with Rios' plans. Rios also tends to not take any crap from Salem, though the two banter easily, often joking in the middle of a fight.
The elevator? Oh no, I'm not dying in a box. You avoid elevators in the case of a fire.
And you avoid bullshit in a war zone. Get in the goddamn elevator.
At least I'll likely die doing something fun. See, we were hesitant to put the next one on the list. Reason 1, it's a three-way bromance. Reason 2, these characters grew up in an orphanage together, and whether or not being considered official siblings is debatable. In the end, we decided to screw it and put them on anyway. It's the A-team of the thieving world, Sly Cooper, Bentley, and Murray.
These three certainly have one of the longer lasting bromances, lasting about 20 years in-game. They met in an orphanage, with Sly having recently lost his parents. Since they grew up together and shared similar backgrounds, they quickly became friends. They each had their differences, but their differences are what drew them together, and they understand that their differences are what bring them together as a team and what makes them so great as a gang. Sly is confident, a womanizer, calm and collected, and overall a very Sly character.
You see what I did there?
Yes. It was horrible, and you should feel horrible.
Bite me.
Anyways, Bentley is very timid and shy, not engaging much in the action, rather helping from the sidelines in the first game, but develops in the second game to fieldwork. He's very intelligent and a precisionist. Murray is a brute who doesn't use his brain much, rather punching first and asking questions later. He's always ready for action and listens to his heart more than his head, illustrated in the third game in the scenes where he drags his frozen old van to the hideout despite being bombarded with enemies. Despite these differences, all three have a joint love for thieving as well as video games and traveling.
They united under the cause of destroying the gang who murdered Sly's family, and each brings something to help the team. The entire gang is built around this idea. The reason the gang is so successful is that each member complements each other so well. Bentley plans for a heist and gets any gadgets or disguises they'll need for it. Sly and Murray execute it, with Sly sneaking around and stealthily stealing, with Murray breaking through any walls or guards along the way. A lot of missions have them directly assisting each other through turret sequences, or through radio calls giving each their advice and moral support.
They've had a strong friendship lasting over the entire series. They have had fallouts and drama, especially in the third game where the team has to adapt to Bentley being in a wheelchair and having to console Murray, who blames himself solely for being unable to stop Bentley becoming crippled. They do have arguments, but they would never give up their friendship and would easily sacrifice themselves so that one of their comrades would live. The closest their bromance ever came to ending was when the gang formally split up at the end of the third game. One of the signs that you have a great friendship is that you can throw the worst insults at each other and not take offense to it. Maybe you know the other doesn't really mean it, maybe they know you have a thick enough skin to take it, who knows. If that's the case, Howard Buckshot Holmes and KREESE must have one of the most indestructible friendships ever.
Dude, I've been sitting here with you all night.
Howard and KREESE are the announcers for Death Watch. Throughout the gameplay of MADWORLD, Howard and KREESE will commentate on the actions of the main character Jack Kamen and the people he runs into. This is occasionally met with the two either shouting creative euphemisms at Jack's spectacular displays, telling a far-fetched story, or taking an opportunity to slam the other. Sometimes all three at once. Out of everyone on this list, these two probably have the funniest bromance.
You know, a cockroach can live for a week without its head?
Big deal. I went through 8 years of marriage without any head.
Howard is a hyperactive sex maniac who takes every opportunity to talk about his ex-wife, offsetting the more harsh and abrasive KREESE, who is a previous Death Watch contestant and a hobbyist drug addict. This comes up a lot during commentary. KREESE will most of the time insult Howard for being a wimp, and Howard will usually be making fun of KREESE's intelligence, or they'll just insult each other in any way possible.
It's strongly implied that they have an off-work relationship from their knowledge of each other's lives. A lot of times, good friends will tell stories of odd romances or failed escapades and exaggerate them to make them more entertaining or make themselves look better. And to see these two exemplify this sort of trait is refreshingly realistic for such a violent and over-the-top game.
That's it, Jack! Nail him from behind!
Ah, shit, I just had a prison flashback.
They seem to be a little above work colleagues, and it wouldn't be too much of a stretch to think these guys hang out at a bar after work or something. They seem to be able to read each other's minds about what's going to be said next, and perfectly play off of each other's jokes.
Those pills are great when you wash them down with a little scotch.
I like to wash down my scotch with a little scotch.
I like to wash down the scotch that I poured that scotch with a little more scotch.
I like scotch.
I like scotch.
I love scotch.
I hate scotch!